Kansas City Sports Update Studios. Welcome to Kingdom Radio, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. Brought to you by Arrowhead Update. Join Chris and Richard on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Player FM, CastBox, and all third-party applications. Check us out on Facebook platforms such as Kansas City Sports Update and Arrowhead Update. And if you cannot find us there, Google or search Kingdom Radio and Kansas City Chiefs, and you will find us. Welcome to the Kingdom. Kingdom.
How are we doing, Kansas City? Welcome to Kingdom Radio. I'm your host, Richard Smith, along with my senior NFL analyst and co-host, Chris Chavez. We're here to talk about this Chiefs-Bears game where the Chiefs put a whooping on the Bears 26-3 on Sunday Night Football, with Mahomes throwing for 2 touchdowns and running for another, to ultimately seal this victory. Chris, how are we doing this evening? What did you feel about that victory yesterday?
Doing fantastic. Super excited about the win. We looked like we were firing on all cylinders last night, and it was great to watch.
Yes, it really was. It was a joy to watch, and records were falling. Well, let's just start off with Mahomes last night, his records that he broke. Mahomes is the youngest player with 75 touchdowns and 9,000 passing yards. Travis Kelce, back-to-back 1,200-yard receiving years. That's the first time a tight end has ever done that in NFL history. And also, Kelce is the fastest tight end to 500 receptions. Also, Cheetah, our guy here, fastest Chiefs receiver to 4,000 yards. Congratulations, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. Those are all amazing records that fell, there on Sunday night, when, these past Sunday night games and primetime games have been pretty dismal for Patrick Mahomes. So, Chris, what was that like? What do you think it was, what it meant for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs to get back on the winning side of things on primetime television?
I think it was a huge accomplishment, and it definitely said a lot about where they're performing at, where their heads are at going into the playoffs. Like we were talking about in pregame, this Bears defense is no joke, and they're very much a playoff caliber defense.
Right.
And for us to put up a 26 spot against them, that was huge, because the Bears have been holding teams to far less points on average all season long.
Right. And how about the Chiefs defense? When was the last time the Chiefs defense hasn't given up a touchdown in 2 straight games?
Yeah, we're looking at 9 quarters, no touchdowns. The first time since 2006 in back-to-back games they've held teams to 3 or less points. Second time in, I believe it was 50 years. The last time that they had done that prior to 2006 was 1968. So, like you were saying, history happened last night. It was really great to watch.
Absolutely. And not only just for the Chiefs, but that was the first time in Andy Reid's career that he had a team go back-to-back games without a touchdown scored. So there's a lot going on, and it continued our 5-game winning streak. We continue our winning streak and boost it to 5 games. The Chiefs defense controlled the tempo of this game from start to finish, and our offense really didn't lack at all. It seemed like everybody, like you said, was firing on all cylinders. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of our offense, but no complaints. I say I want to see more, but 2 touchdowns for Mahomes in the air and 1 on the ground, 250 yards passing. That's a pretty solid game.
Yeah, absolutely. And ideally you'd like to see another 300-400-yard game out of him. But given the situation, what we were trying to do, I think that we definitely had him at his best. Yes. Although the stats necessarily don't show it like that. Mm-hmm. He looked really good last night.
That's also a testament. I'm going to say this for probably the first time this season. That was a testament to the running game last night. Collectively, the Chiefs rushed for over 100 yards. And look, Damian Williams popped in there with 16 carries and 65 yards. So that really was, I hate to say a 65-yard game is a great rushing game for a Chiefs running back this season, but it just, that's the truth. So it's really nice to see Damien Williams get back out there and get in the mix and make some plays.
Well, and even to touch on that a little bit more, we had 29 rushing attempts in yesterday's game, which is probably the closest to a 50-50 balance in the pass rush ratio that we've had all season long.
And, that's something that you had touched base on when you were, I don't want to necessarily say defending Shady McCoy, but also giving him his credit where credit was due, is, the attempts weren't there. And last night the attempts were on the table, and you see that, our team was capable of putting up a 100-yard rushing game. Now, I would have liked to see more of Darwin Thompson and Spencer Ware, but Damien Williams was obviously producing with 4.1 yards per carry, so he is our featured back. It was, this was just all around a really brilliant win for the Chiefs. I can't even really pinpoint, one thing. But I do want to ask you, what did you think of, Terrell Suggs in his first game with the Chiefs? Because I thought it was rather impressive. He didn't really do a whole lot, but his presence in the game was definitely felt.
Yeah, absolutely. On the first drive, even, he was already pressuring Trubisky.
Right.
And on the depth chart, on the box score, he's down for one tackle, but he definitely had a much bigger impact on the game than just that. Although I was kind of surprised with how little the Chiefs utilized him.
Right.
They only brought him in on for sure passing downs on third downs primarily. But I think that definitely helped to get him involved and comfortable with the squad moving forward. Definitely expect to see a lot more of him next week as well.
And I agree. And let me ask you this, and this is at a GM standpoint here, is would you say that it's fair to say that Suggs didn't get as much playing time as he had liked due to the extensive playbook? Because let's be honest, on a third down, on a passing play, you generally know what's coming. Suggs is in there to get after the quarterback and get after the quarterback only. So do you say that this is just a lack of knowledge of the playbook?
Yeah, I would, because Suggs is additionally very good against the run.
Right.
And because we do a lot of exotic things with our D-line, with our linebackers, we need for him to be more comfortable and understanding of what's going on. One thing that kind of snaps into my mind is, and I don't remember exactly what the play was, but I want to say it was the second or third quarter, Honey Badger, a.k.a. the landlord,
yes, was
trying to come in on a blitz from the nickel position, and pre-snap he had already moved in, and Trubisky didn't snap the ball. He started making some adjustments.
He backed off.
But he started clapping and chirping at Suggs. I don't know if he was angry with him or what, but I think he was just kind of letting him know like what he needed for him to do. And on the snap, Suggs ended up rushing to the outside and ended up taking up Honey Badger's lane. And Honey Badger ended up having to back out of the blitz. And ultimately it didn't end up hurting us, but that was one play that kind of stuck out in my mind of, okay, Suggs still needs to get that cohesion with the defensive players.
Right, and that's the thing is, I mean, we're throwing him in there really fast, and that was the thing too, is I know that Honey Badger was simply trying to get his attention and say, hey, look, you were lined up incorrectly, and I can't shoot my gap with how you're lined up, and like you said, it bit him, and I knew exactly which play you were talking about, because yes, Honey Badger, went in and then fell back into coverage. But I will say, I'm glad that you brought up the Honey Badger, because for me on the defense, he gets my game ball for this game. He was all over the field, ball hawk for sure. I love how much Tyrann Mathieu come into his own with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He nearly had 2 picks yesterday.
Right. I mean, and he's blitzing, getting to the quarterback, getting to the backfield. I love how he reads those little short dump plays. The running game, he's got it all. This is the second game in a row when you saw him, hunt down, I believe it was a screen or a dump play or a running play to the outside, and he looked over, to Chicago's bench and, tapped his finger on his head like, hey, I got this. Like, I'm smarter than that.
Yeah, and it's great to see him being utilized as he is, where he really is all over the field. He is the landlord of anything past the line of scrimmage. And the other great thing is that Spags hides it so well. You never really know exactly where he's going to be.
Yes.
He might be lined up on the line of scrimmage, drop back in coverage, and he'll be back there 30, 40 yards to bat the ball down.
Right.
He's going to be lined up on the nickel on one side. He's going to be covering the running back coming out on the other side. He's in your backfield. He's all over the place. It's a great thing to watch, and seeing the defense has finally gotten so comfortable with the play calling, with the scheme. Like we said, preseason, all early season long, when they come together, this is going to be a defense to watch out for.
Oh,
and
yeah.
man, were we right.
Yes, and this is just the beginning too, because one thing we think about with the Honey Badger, he is a very smart football player. He knows where everybody needs to be on the field, and I feel like he was overcompensating earlier in the season for players who weren't playing their role in the defense, and not necessarily because they didn't want to, they just weren't acclimated to that scheme yet. So he was covering more of the field than he would have liked. Now see what happened when the Honey Badger had trust in everybody around him. Now look at him be able to loosen up and fly all over the field.
Oh, absolutely. As well as everybody, essentially everybody, getting healthy. I mean, you look at our linebackers and secondary, they're the healthiest guys we got out there right now.
Right.
Minus Maurice Claiborne. And, wow, they're looking fantastic.
They really are.
Even our D-line. And this is one thing I wanted to touch on, moving, and I know it's going to kind of jump a little bit forward into the playoffs, and I'm knocking on wood over here. We're going to be one of the few defenses that can rush 4, drop 7, and still get pressure on the quarterback.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
And to have that sort of ability out of our defense in the playoffs is going to be hugely helpful with whatever scheme and whatever adjustments we need to make.
I agree with that. And we're talking about a defense that's number 1 in the league the last 5 games. So let's talk about Terrell Suggs just a little bit more here. Arizona utilized him this season like the Chiefs utilized him against the Bears. So I really think it's fair to say, with a Terrell Suggs, 37 years old?
Yeah, 37, 38.
So I think it's fair to say that he still has fresh legs and a strong enough motor going into playoffs to really make an impact for the Chiefs, because he wasn't utilized like he was in Baltimore. I'm not sure what the Cardinals game plan was with him, but he hasn't seen as much of the field this season as past, and you expect that, with a career, I don't want to say dying down, but he's still productive. So do you think that he's still got a lot of gas in his engine, enough left for the playoffs for the Chiefs?
Oh, he definitely has enough left in his engine. Like they were talking about in this Monday night game, with Minnesota's running back, Boone, to have a running back of his caliber this fresh, this late in the season is going to be tremendous moving into the playoffs, because you're going to have a top quality back week 16, week 17 with fresh legs. With Terrell Suggs, we're basically getting that out of him. We're getting a fresh-legged, essentially, defensive end here in Week 16, Week 17, that's going to be able to come in and be productive for us, have an affect on the game. And maybe he doesn't even show up in the box score, but the fact that he is getting quarterback pressures, that he's making running backs change their running attack, having to cut back into other pressure to the tackle. That's exactly what we need for him to do.
Right.
Set the edge and get after guys. And to wear down the tackles so that when Frank Clark rotates over or K-Pass rotates over, whomever gets there next, they're already tired, they're worn down. They're done with Suggs, and then somebody else comes in and like, oh man, now this guy, or vice versa.
Right.
It's great to have this depth at defensive end moving into the playoffs, because they're going to keep them fresh, and we're going to be able to keep getting after that quarterback.
And realistically, we have such harmony in the defense right now, and it shocks me to be able to say this, but we have such harmony in the defense on every level that there's just this certain amount of trust. And when you have trust in the guy next to you, and that goes all the way across the board, that's when your biggest talents come out and play. I think, Spags and Andy Reid are obviously, some of the greatest ever at bringing out every single great characteristic of a player and then pushing him, to do more than he thought he could. But, those characteristics that I'm talking about shine through when there's trust on the defense, and you can clearly see it.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase here, but you're touching on something that's like just reminding me of a meme I saw earlier today on Facebook. It's like coming out of our bye week, our defense was like Happy Gilmore. In the very last scene or so of the movie, where Happy says somebody learned how to putt. Our defense came out of the bye week telling the entire NFL, somebody learned how to play defense.
Yes. Yep.
And I mean, in this 5-game span, nobody has been able to hang with us.
Not one team, and we're not talking about pushover teams either. And to be perfectly honest with you, the Chiefs realistically haven't played a pushover team this entire season. Regardless what the Bears' record is, and teams like that, we haven't played a Miami, we haven't played a Cleveland, a Cincinnati. Or wait, did we play the Bengals? No, we haven't played any of these cellar dweller teams. So that's really a testament to, this team coming together. And I'll tell you what, Chris, let's take this back 2 years. A completely different team, completely different coaching staff, different starting quarterback, different starting receivers, different starting running back. Our whole defense was completely different. And a 2-year complete revamp of a team. I mean, hats off to this front office. Am I wrong about that?
Absolutely not. Brett Veach has essentially just turned the page in a matter of 2 years, which, I mean, as you see with some franchises, it takes them decades to do.
So,
go ahead.
All right, this is, before I forget, do you want to do the no-look pass tonight?
Oh, let's do it.
All right, let's hop in it right now.
This is the No Look Pass, brought to you by Shauna Keogh Music Solutions, providing everything from simple background audio to complex creative audio pieces. Bring your project to life with Shauna Keogh Music Solutions.
All right, this is the No Look Pass, brought to you by Shauna Keogh Music Solutions. This is where Chris and I ask each other a question off the top of our head, and to really test our football knowledge. And Chris, I'm going to let you go first tonight.
Okay, so this is a little early in the season to be asking, because I really should be asking you this after Week 17. But as of this moment, right now, and I already have a feeling who this is going to be coming from you, but Who is your defensive MVP
right now?
right now?
Boy, it's really changing from week to week. I can't lie. Right now, I got to go with the Honey Badger. Overall, the guy's just made a huge impact. It was hard to stray off the defensive line, but it's just every game, his name is just, it keeps getting mentioned and mentioned and mentioned. His leadership, in and out, top to bottom is critical. And I got to say, the Honey Badger is taking that one.
I have to agree with you there. However, I will say that the one player who is definitely battling him for that title, at least in my mind, but a lot of people I feel like are overlooking him and his play, is Charvarius Ward. Charvarius Ward is right in line with him as far as total tackles on the season. He's breaking up passes left and right. He's one of the highest graded corners in the league, as well as he's coming down and he's making tackles in the run game.
Yes,
just
he is.
like Honey Badger is. And, that's huge. He's another guy, not necessarily like all over the field, because he's kind of limited due to his position, but he's playing the pass and the run, which is huge.
And that, and that is very huge. Hats off to you on that one. I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. Your guy K-Pass has been tearing it up this season as well. There's a lot of highlights on the defense, to be honest with you. And so, okay, what were we talking about right before this? We were on the defensive side of the ball. What was our subject?
Oh, man. I think it was Honey Badger being all over the place.
Gosh, man. And what's crazy is I wish I would have written this down, because I was like, I had something on my mind. I was like, Chris, let's do the no-look pass. And I had this perfect one for you. And I should have gone first because I completely forgot what it was now. But that's all right, because it had something to do with what you had mentioned in the past. And I wanted to bring it up on the no-look pass because what you had said, there's been a completely different scenario, and I wanted to ask you, your thoughts on it now. But since...
Oh, we were talking about changing, basically just changing the players over the 2-year span by Brett Veach.
Okay, yes, all right. My no-look pass to you tonight, Chris. At the beginning of the season, I asked you if you thought it was time to sign Brett Veach long-term, and you said not yet. What is your answer tonight to that question?
Man. Okay, so I'm still gonna hold on to the not yet.
Okay.
But here's my reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 players for sure that are must signs.
Right.
And Brett Veach still needs to fill the roster next year.
Right.
And so, we can't throw all of our money at both of those guys. Now, granted, we still have time to hold off. We don't have to sign Mahomes in the offseason, but that is definitely coming up soon.
Yes.
If Veach can build the team to still be competitive while re-signing Stone Cold Jones and Mahomes, then I am 100% on board with we need to sign him to an extension right now.
Good deal. And I agree with that. And that is the no-look pass this evening. And we're going to continue on this conversation a little bit. With Brett Veach and the way things are going, we still have $20 million in cap space. And the way I look at things is the Chiefs have done a good job of holding out this season, not only one, to see what Chris Jones' production is going to be, but 2, to see what the team needs are for the Super Bowl run. Once we have gotten to a point where we feel comfortable and there's no way that we can add to the team without setting back the team, I feel like that's when we are going to go ahead and give Chris Jones some guaranteed money. And I feel like after the Suggs signing, after Week 17, that's when you're going to see Kansas City make some moves as far as, signing some of these players, or at least throwing them some money to calm them down. You know what I mean? Something will happen.
Yeah, I think probably within the first 2 weeks or so after the Super Bowl, we'll start hitting up some players and start at least talking contract a little bit more seriously. I think right now nobody's really talking money or contracts just because everyone's trying to keep their eye on the real prize,
right,
which is that Super Bowl.
Right, and you haven't heard Chris Jones say anything about contract all season long. Exactly,
which is, if you look historically, something very different than what you would typically hear or see from somebody. You look at Jalen Ramsey, you look at Marcus Peters, you look at Le'Veon Bell, Zeke Elliott. These guys are chirping about their paycheck and their money and blah, blah, blah. They're not talking about getting Super Bowl wins.
Right, and I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like we have a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes who would be willing to take a little bit less to ensure, our spot in the AFC Championship every single year and possibly the Super Bowl every single year. He seems like that quarterback. And also, here's another thing, too, is if the Chiefs and Andy Reid were smart, they would sit down with Patrick Mahomes and say, we know that you want the big money. There's more than one avenue to get you this big money. With endorsements, with everything, partnerships, everything that you're doing, everybody wants a part of Patrick Mahomes. We'll get you your money. You'll get your money. Just help us build this team and take a team-friendly deal. We'll get you the money you want on the back end with all the endorsements. Just take a team-friendly deal. I feel like he's that type of player that would do that.
Well, he has always seemed like that sort of player. He definitely seems like he has that sort of team-first mentality. Given his upbringing, I think that he understands that a little bit more so than any other player that typically comes into the league. But I think that's also why we're seeing so many endorsements right now coming from him.
Right.
Is because he's starting to build up that bank account so that when it comes time for the contract, he understands, you know what, I don't have to ask for the moon and then some. I can take this atmospheric contract because my team, I have to have a team on the field in order for us to be competitive.
Right. You have to have the elements around you. And when you don't, you have careers like Aaron Rodgers has had. And that's nothing against Aaron Rodgers. He's got a Super Bowl ring. But
Aaron Rodgers should have more than what he's got.
Right, absolutely, and that's the biggest thing, and that's what we want out of Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like the type of kid that he is, we will get that from him. And look at Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill took an extremely team-friendly deal. I mean, did he not?
Yeah, no, he absolutely did. And I mean, he easily could have been asking for the top wide receiver money, and he didn't.
No, not at all.
He's definitely one of the highest paid wide receivers, but he definitely deserves to be the top paid wide receiver in the league. Well, look, I'll take that back. I'll say second highest wide receiver in the league.
Michael Thomas deserves his money.
Yeah, Michael Thomas, absolutely. Oh my gosh, he's had an amazing year / career at this point, and he's just getting started.
We'll put it this way. Michael Thomas this season is the best receiver in the league, and it's not even close. It's not even close.
I would have to be crazy to argue with you.
I mean, the kids put up, 1,300 receiving yards?
Yeah, and then 146 catches.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and we still have another week to go.
Yeah.
Still got another week to go. Yeah, he is insane. But I think it would be safe to say that a Tyreek Hill falls in a close second. No, I don't say close, but he falls in second. And I would say the gap between the first and second and the second to third receiver is just as significant.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, look, we really played a solid game. The Chiefs put 26 on the board, held the Bears to 3. Mahomes looked great. Tyreek looked great. Sammy looked great. Damian Williams looked great. I mean, the whole Travis Kelce, the whole team up and down, we looked great. All, defense, no complaints. A receiving touchdown from Williams, a receiving touchdown from Kelce. I mean, Chris Jones got in there with the sack. Frank Clark got himself a sack. Reggie Ragland got a sack. All around, just a solid game for Kansas City. And this is exactly what we need is to, to make a push for the playoffs is to be on a roll. And we're hot. We might be the hottest team in the NFL right now outside of Baltimore, which in my mind is a team that we can beat. So, Chris, let's talk about this playoff scenario for a minute. The Ravens secured their number 1 spot. We had a feeling that was going to happen. It was going to be hard to catch up with the Ravens, but they secured their number 1 spot. The Chiefs could not get any help from Buffalo. I don't know why in the world we would ever expect in Chiefs Kingdom to get any help from the Buffalo Bills. But we couldn't get any help from Buffalo. The Patriots secured the number 2 spot, or will secure the number 2 spot with a Chiefs win, or with a Chiefs loss, or with a Patriots win. So, and the Chiefs we are still sitting in the 3rd spot. And like we said, we can secure the number 2 with a Patriots loss and a Chiefs win. But the Patriots play the Dolphins. So, Chris, let's talk about that real quick. What are the odds of the Chiefs actually falling into that number 2 spot?
Realistically speaking, I'd say it's about 5 to 10%.
Yes. It's not even
now,
close.
It could end up being like it was last year with the Miracle of Miami, but the percentage is about the same.
It's dismal. It's dismal to say the least. And so the Texans will be the number 4 spot. The Bills will be the number 5 spot. And it looks like, unfortunately, look, the Steelers just could not get it done. The Steelers couldn't get it done against the Jets. In my mind, if you are a fan of the sport and you are looking for a playoff team, if you are a perennial playoff team and you can't beat the Jets, look, you don't deserve to be in the playoffs. So in my mind, the Steelers do not deserve to be in the playoffs. They need some help to get in there anyway. Unfortunately, it's going to let the Titans creep in. And that's the one team Kansas City really did not want to slide in the playoffs. So Chris, talk about this for a second. What do you think about this whole scenario?
Honestly, while they are the team that I don't want to see right off the bat, they're also just to completely flip it, they're the team that I want to see. Because they're going to have to come into our house.
Right.
And we're going to beat up on them. And when we get a very different result than the last time, we don't have this snap fluke. We don't have all of these miscues on special teams, on defense, on offense. When we get this all figured out, and we beat up on Tennessee, it's going to be another boost into our confidence, and I honestly feel that that's going to catapult us into the Super Bowl. Because after that game, sorry, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole for a second.
Mm-hmm.
After that game, we're going to be playing on the road every game after that. And this season, we're 7-1 away from Arrowhead.
Right.
Which plays right into our hands.
Absolutely.
Let's go to New England. Let's go to Baltimore, and beat them up in their own home.
Right. And the thing here is we've beat both of the teams in front of us in the playoff picture, and we've lost to 2 of the teams behind us in the playoff picture. But, like you said, with the home field advantage, we are a different Chiefs team right now than we were when we faced, was it the AFC South?
Yes.
Yeah, we were a different team than when we faced them, midway through the season when, we were beat up to the core. So, with you on that one. I feel like it's a great scenario. Yes, and our away record is phenomenal, and I expect us to keep that up. So we have one more game here coming up next week. Chargers. This is another AFC West showdown here at Arrowhead Stadium. We'll touch base on that game during the pregame show, probably on Saturday. But, hey, look, the Chiefs really took care of business and we are on this 5-game winning streak, and I'm excited to see where things head here, in Week 17 into the playoffs. Chris, what else do you want to add here? Is there anything else we need to touch base on here on the show tonight?
No, I think we got it all covered. Definitely going to be watching the one thing I do want to throw out there, and it's not really going to affect us because we're probably not going to face them unless somehow we lose and we end up getting the 4th seed. Mm-hmm. But with Baltimore sitting their starters next week in Week 17, and then they're going to have a bye week, having 2 weeks off, I feel is going to be rather detrimental to them starting their first playoff game with hitting the ground running. They're going to come out and they're going to be making some mistakes. And I think that sitting their starters next week is going to be a huge mistake. They need to at least have them start the first half. That's going to be a good thing to watch. New England has to play this game hard. And, we got to watch for injuries. I mean, while it's important to have the seeding, I would much rather say screw the seeding and let's go into the playoffs healthy.
Yes, and a healthy Kansas City Chiefs is what has been eluding us all season long, and we finally have that here in Chiefs Kingdom. Before we sign off here, I'm going to do a little promotional stuff. Go check out KCKingdomRadio.com. Go over to the shop page right now. If you go over to the shop page and you drop down and you go to Chiefs Apparel, and you click on the link, that'll take you to Fanatics, and it'll give you a 33 to 66% off promo code for the entire site. And there's some amazing things on there. Definitely check that out. But like I said, go to KCKingdomRadio.com. Check out our website and all of our other amazing content. And really is, look, it's a lot of fun. If you check it out, look, there's a fan experience. There's all kinds of stuff on there. Just go check out that website, Kansas City. Really, that's all the promotional stuff I have for this evening. Besides, get out to Arrowhead Stadium. This is the last game of the season, except for the playoff game. I feel like, obviously have a game at home for the playoffs. So get online, and once that's locked in, get your tickets for that game as well. But Chris, it has been an awesome time tonight. Look, it's been a fun time to be a Chiefs fan this season. 5-game winning streak. Chris, I appreciate you being on the show. What do you think of this 5-game winning streak?
As any winning streak it's fantastic. And like you said, it's been a pleasure calling this season with you. Merry Christmas, and definitely catch you on the flip side of that, man.
Hey, yeah, that sounds great. Merry Christmas, and I'll go ahead and say Happy New Year's. Look, let's continue this winning streak. Let's be on a 6-game winning streak going into the playoffs and be the hottest team in the NFL, because as it stands right now, that is what the Kansas City Chiefs are, the hottest team in the NFL. And as it looks, we have a top 15 to top 10 defense. The playoff run is going to be fun. We have a lot to look forward to. We're going to get off of here. Merry Christmas, everyone. Tuck your kids in tomorrow night. Hey, stay tuned to the news, too, so you can see that Santa radar. I know the kids love that. We'll see where Santa's at and keep tracking him for, that early Christmas morning delivery. So, Kansas City, you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. Go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Let's get this Super Bowl.
Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom Radio, your go-to podcast for everything Kansas City Chiefs.